Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Bowtied Media, and today we've got a brand new installment of This Week in EDM, where we go over songs that came out this past week in EDM. As always, there's a Spotify link down below for all the songs, and easy access if Spotify is what you use. And always just remember that this is just my opinion. Do not take them as gospel truth. So let's head into it. Starting us off in the bad category, yes indeed, we are going here right away. Riot 10 and Smoakland featuring Era Harris with new sound from the new Requiem for a Riot LP out now by Riot 10. Really unsure what Riot 10 was going for with this track in particular. The track is incredibly empty, the fakeouts are ridiculously long and unnecessary, and the song is just generally boring. And sadly, I think this is one of the stronger songs from this album. Oh my goodness, full review coming out soon. Then we got Gabry, Ponte, and Nicky Romero with Rave music. Main stage techno that just falls into all of the tropes of techno, from its title to song structure to vocals, just boring and unneeded. Then we got Subtronics and Friction featuring P-Money with Legends. Sadly, wasn't really feeling this new track. I don't mind the switch up from Subtronics to an explicitly dance floor D&B tune, but I just couldn't get behind the execution. I thought the mixing was quite flat, and the drops just weren't all that interesting to me. Then heading into the meh category, we've got Excision, Sudden Death, and YVM3 with Insane. Despite what the title says, this song is anything but insane. It's not insanely good, nor insanely bad, pretty much just right down the middle. I think the mixing isn't too bad, and the tarot production is fairly fine, but it really just doesn't go one way or another, and just right down the middle. We got Crankdat and Nightmare featuring Deuce with Type Shit. An aggressive dubstep and trap fusion track that is generally fine. I don't really care for the lyricism or vocals, and I think the Crankdat Nightmare production is fairly safe for each of their own standards. We got Seth Hills and DAMEN with Losing My Mind. A pretty typical techno track that doesn't really bring anything new or innovative to the space. The drops are fairly by the books, and the vocal chant is incredibly boring. Then we got Tiësto and Sexyy Red with OMG from F1 the movie. A very typical tech house production from Tiësto with a fairly generic vocal performance from Sexyy Red, which does make sense considering that this is made for a movie, so it's intended to be fairly straightforward and easy to listen to, so I get it, but it's still meh.
Touch me there. Put your hands upon my body.
We got Kiesza with Stays in Bed. A simple garage house tune from Kiesza that stays steady and calm with lots of sexy undertones. Pretty underwhelming for Kiesza's standards, though. Then we've got the CloudNone remix of Are You Happy Now, originally by SABAI featuring Linney. I wasn't overly fond of the original, and I didn't really think that CloudNone did a ton to make this track his own. It's got a fairly simple drum and bass production to it, and that's also not really CloudNone's strongest style for me. We got Gryffin featuring Peña with Hard Time Lover. Probably Griffin's most radio-friendly track to date. It's got a typical electropop song structure, vocal feature, and simple melody. It's a neat tune that sounds fairly solid, but nothing really crazy. Then we got Marshmello featuring Ellie and Effin with Save My Love. Probably Marshmello's also safest track to date here. It's incredibly linear and predictable and really doesn't do a whole ton, really one way or another. Ellie Goulding's vocals are great, as she pretty much always is, especially considering that she's like the main sound on this track, so she has to be pretty solid. Then we got Chris Lake with Savannah. A simple tech house track that has a solid vocal, but very uninteresting drop sections. I liked the track for the most part, but really struggled to get behind those drop movements with, I don't know, they just had little put into them, it seems like. It seemed like all the creativity was used on the verse parts. Then we got Bob Moses with Waiting on the World. A new deep house tune from Bob Moses that is very club-oriented and less ethereal than I think a lot of their discography has been up to this point. The drops are pretty much a standard deep house beat through and through, and that's really not typical for these guys. I actually sort of missed that ethereal overtone. Then we got Tom Ferry and Marlo Rex with When I'm Gone. A simple house track that's aiming for commercial appeal. Nothing overly exciting, but also far from a bad track. Definitely an upper tier meh track. And heading into the good category, we've got Boombox Cartel and Strobes with Never Enough. A constantly driving hybrid trap cut from these guys that has a real jungle vibe across the whole thing. I liked the established production and style, but that unchanging melody was a little unremarkable for me. The last drop was definitely the best part of the song, though. Then we got RG and Omiki with Wind. Another techno track with a unique flute-like melody that complements the denseness of that mainline techno production. Definitely a more unique track within that techno sphere for sure. Then we got Kaiwachi featuring Julienne By with Bad For You. Kaiwachi is taking a page out of ISO Nox book here for this new trap cut that sounds very unlike most of what Kaiwachi has put out up to this point. But hey, I still think the sound is still great and definitely still has a place in the industry, even though that sound in particular is starting to peter off a little bit for me. Then we've got Big Gigantic and Ganja White Knight featuring Denim with Fluorescence. This song pretty much sounds exactly as you would imagine it to sound on paper. It's got a funky vibe and brass instrumentation style from Big Gigantic, and then the carefree ganja vibes from, well, the White Knights. I think it works fairly well. Then we've got Mr. Fiji Ouija with Beautiful Awkward Love from the new Before Everything Changes album. Another decently solid Fiji track that isn't anything crazy above and beyond his regular solid garage production, and this is definitely one of the stronger tracks from this record though, and in honor of the album I decided to wear his hat today, so that's what I'm wearing, the Fiji hat for the Fiji album. Then we got DJ Snake featuring Amadou and Miriam with Patience. An interesting blend of EDM and Monday music that does have its own unique flair and style to it. It's on the simpler side of things, but I really like the tone of this track. It's super unique, and I really haven't heard many songs like this one before. Then we've got Dub Vision and Sick Individuals with Endless Dreamers. Maybe it's just because I haven't been listening to a ton of festival progressive house as of late, but this style just still hits really hard for me, and especially this time and place right now in my life. I don't know why, but yeah, I want this in my veins. Yeah, it's a fairly by the books, but I mean, I think it just works, and it does a solid job of providing that very anthemic sound. Then we got Kirby with My Ecstasy from the new Down to the Groove EP. This track in particular is a pretty pleasant, purely house tune with a steady groove. Nothing overly fantastical, but calm, cool, and collected as Kirby has been these last couple of years. A bouncy tune for sure. Then we've got Nasty with Street Level from the new double-sided single release. A decent bass house tune with a hip-hop edge to it that feels like a truly high-quality niche track. I love the mixing, and I'm a sucker for well-done rap vocal chops. Then we've got If Found with Blossom. Another very ISO Knock inspired track this week, and it's yet another one that does it quite tastefully while providing their own spin on the genre. It's a quick hit with a real bouncy beat to this one. Then we've got the No Mana remix of Surge, originally by Kiesza. A wild No Mana remix of a track I wasn't overly keen on that turns this thing into a wild techno ride with some typical techno beats and then some absolutely wild hardcore high-tempo kicks to close things out. A crazy tune that I do enjoy, but not one I think I'll revisit a whole ton. Then we've got Shopkeeper with Search. This is a new alias from A Cloudy Sky with a significantly more kind of EDM sound, opting in for a more cruising electro tech house track that's right for the club setting. Really fascinating to hear A Cloudy Sky tackle a typical four on the floor type beat, and I still think it bangs. Then we got Inzo and Bluka with Nexum. As expected from Inzo, this is another ethereal, atmospherically minded track that really intoxicates you into the world it sets up. They have this really interesting laid-back dubstep production that often leans into future bass territory from time to time. It's a really beautiful track and even dark at times. Then we've got Frost Children with Control, a hard-hitting complextro track with a more classic production mixed together with a more kind of modern vocal performance. It hits hard when it wants to and pulls back when it needs to for an absolutely crushing complextro cut. Then we got Nettie with Life Don't Feel Real. Nettie always had this inherent ability to really change up the genre in which they're producing, but also make it sound very Nettie-like still. This track has a harsh, future-based style with a super sharp metallic synth hit that just smacks you in the face time and time again. It's super pronounced in the mix and defies the kind of standard mixing practice, but I think it makes it all that more special. And I also love the vocals. We got K-Mo with Dumpster Fire from the new K1 album. Bit of an EDM adjacent record that leans more explicitly into indie-tronica and shoegaze, but this song in particular is a solid digicore cut that reminds me a bit of Jane Remover with less intensity. The vocals are solid, the synth work is magical, and it all flows really quite well. Then we've got DROELOE with Tumbleweeds. DROELOE's first real single in 2 years now, and it's like he never left. The production is magical, the vocals are elegant, and I love the long movements and intentionally long-winded moments. I honestly forgot how much I loved DROELOE, and the song is fantastic. And heading into the standout category, we've got Effin with Dreams Come True. Effin with another all-timer. The shimmer of this track paired with his signature dense dubstep production is just on another level here. This is probably one of his best tracks of his discography, top 5 I think for sure. Then we've got Creo with Prophecy. Creo with a brilliantly progressive and ramping track that builds and builds and builds and builds with no major final push, but I think it was well worth it and it has a great payoff. The trumpet instrumentation sees a ton of progression as well, and with a smattering of strings playing support, this track is almost otherworldly. Don't know how explicitly EDM this thing is, and it's definitely EDM adjacent, but man, it's phenomenal. And our emerging artist spotlight of the week is Navex with Swamp 4. A new double-sided single release that has just landed on Circus with this, and yeah, I'm really feeling this new dubstep cut. It's got 3 fairly distinct and unique movements, and all reside within this overarching dubstep sphere. I thought the mixing was fantastic, and the production was super clean. But that's been This Week in EDM. Let me know what you guys think of any and all songs in the comment section below, but other than that, I'm Dakota from Bowtied Media, and I'll see you guys in another video.